I had always been fascinated by the supernatural. Ghost stories, haunted houses, and paranormal investigations were my guilty pleasures. So, when my friend Mark suggested we try using a Ouija board and the old abandoned asylum on the outskirts of town, I couldn't resist. It was a chilly night, perfect for a spooky adventure. We arrived at the asylum just as the sun was setting. The building loomed over us, its windows shattered and walls covered in graffiti. The air was thick with the scent of decay and neglect. Mark and I made our way inside, our flashlights cutting through the darkness. We found a room that seemed relatively intact and set up the Ouija board on an old, dusty table. The planchette felt cold and heavy in my hands as we placed our fingers on it. Mark lit a few candles, casting eerie shadows on the walls. "Is anyone here with us?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. For a moment, nothing happened. But then slowly, the planchette began to move. My heart raced as it spelled out Y-E-S. "Who are you?" Mark asked, his voice trembling slightly. The planchette moved again, spelling out A-N-N-A, Anna. "Anna, what do you want?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. The planchette spelled this out, and both mine and Mark's hearts were racing. It spelled out H-E-L-P, help. Before we could ask anything else, a loud crash echoed throughout the room. One of the candles had been knocked over, its flame extinguished. Mark and I exchanged nervous glances, but decided to continue. "How can we help you, Anna?" I asked. The planchette moved more quickly this time, spelling out L-E-A-V-E, leave. Suddenly, the temperature in the room dropped, and I could see my breath in the air. The candles flickered wildly, and I felt a cold breeze brush past me. Then, out of nowhere, objects started flying across the room. Books, chairs, and even pieces of debris were hurled around by an unseen force. "Mark, we need to get out of here," I shouted, my voice shaking with fear. We scrambled to our feet, knocking over the Ouija board in our haste. As we ran towards the door, I felt something cold and clammy grab my ankle. I kicked frantically, breaking free and sprinting out of the room. We raced down the dark hallways, the sound of crashing objects and eerie whispers following us. My heart pounded in my chest as we finally burst through the front doors and into the night. We didn't stop running until we reached the safety of Mark's car. Breathless and terrified, we sat in silence for a moment, trying to process what had just happened. I glanced back at the asylum, its dark silhouette looming against the night sky. "Let's never do that again," Mark said, his voice trembling. I nodded in agreement. The thrill of the supernatural had lost its appeal. I had no desire to return to that place or to use a Ouija board ever again. The experience had been too real, too terrifying. As we drove away, I couldn't shake the feeling that we had disturbed something that should have been left alone. The drive was just supposed to be a quick stop to get a big case of water I desperately needed. Nothing was supposed to happen on my way. But of course, most of life's events aren't exactly what you anticipate. Let me tell you what happened from the beginning. After getting in a good workout from the gym, the sun was starting to go down really fast. Me remembering I need to buy another case of water, I drove on the road hoping I would make it before the store closed. I should have noticed that the environment was too eerily quiet. There was barely anyone driving on the road with me, which was unusual since even at night the area was usually bustling with activity from cars. But for the first time, it was like I was the only one driving. I had to wonder if there was some kind of holiday going on that I wasn't aware of, or if some extreme weather warning had been issued. Everything was too quiet, and it felt like my car was going in slow motion. Unfortunately, that's the part where things got worse. I was driving past a partially foresty area. It wasn't very big, but the trees were decently dense. Then, fading into view from out of those trees came a slightly transparent silhouette of a person. I slammed on the brakes since I was afraid I was about to hit a person. As I screeched to a stop, my adrenaline at an all-time high, I was able to get a better view of the figure. It was somewhat humanoid and tall, and the way it moved across the street was strange. It slowly glided as though swimming through the air mesmerizingly. I couldn't make out any distinct features because parts of the thing kept blending into each other and changing form. I guess it must have been made out of some ethereal form or something. I gasped as I stared at the creature in incredible disbelief, unable to know what to say. Then the thing turned to look at me and stopped its weird motion. For a few seconds, it remained as still as I was. Then, without warning, it faded away out of existence. It was incredible to watch, to say the least. If it weren't for my foot moving to the gas without me thinking about it, I would have stayed there, and who knows what would have happened. I left that area at striking speed, and surprisingly, more cars started showing up, and people were walking around like normal. It was like the moment never happened at all. I'll never forget it. That was the first and last ghost-like thing I ever saw, and it was the strangest encounter I think I might ever have. Hope you enjoyed that story, and I'll see you in the next one. See you on the flip side.